Hello guys, welcome back to today's lesson. Today here we have Juffrou Rachelle Bezuidenhout van Hoërskool Rustenburg. We have two other students here with me, deur and Marley Kutsia. And today we're going to do some language editing and skills. Yes, so Juffrou Rachelle is going to take it further.
Hi guys, let me just share my screen with you. Okay, can you see? Good. Okay, the editing part of your language paper is usually one that you have some trouble with. Hey, the one where you have to find the errors and correct them. It usually counts about 3 or 4 marks out of the 20, and you usually tell me that you find it difficult firstly spotting the mistake and then secondly fixing the mistake. Hey, okay, so I just want to give you some tips and tricks on how to do the editing. These errors can include, but are not necessarily limited to, but these are mostly the ones that they ask: spelling, tense, concord, homophones, and the apostrophe. Now, spelling, I obviously can't teach you how to spell every single word in the English language, but I can teach you some tips and tricks and what mistakes they often ask you to correct. Tense, sometimes you must just check that the verbs are in the same tense. That there's another verb in the sentence, maybe that's in the past tense, and now the verb that you have to change is in the present. Then concord. Concord means subject-verb agreement. It means when you have one thing, the verb must be singular, and when you have more than one thing, the verb must be plural. Homophones, that's words like there, and there. Words that sound the same but have different spellings and meanings. Whose and whose, its and its, your and your. Those words that you often have trouble with. They like to ask those. And then lastly, the apostrophe. When and how to use the apostrophe in order for it not to be a spelling error. Okay. Now, first of all, the spelling of words. They like to ask words that end in L, like beautiful, wonderful, fearful. Where a word ends in the suffix full, it only ends in one L. Now, that's confusing because the word full, when it's a full word, ends in 2 L's. Hey. Now, the rule there is that words with one syllable that end in L end with 2 L's. Words with 2 syllables that end in L usually only end in 1 L unless it's a compound noun, a samenstelling, 2 words put together, like netball. Okay. People, make sure of the spelling of beautiful especially. They like to ask it because it's a difficult word to spell. Okay. Then they also like to ask British versus American spelling. Can anyone tell me why you think there's a difference? Why the British and the Americans spell words differently? If you had to take a guess. Yes, Marley?
Ma'am, I think it's probably just how it sounds to them and then how they spelled it.
Yes, well, that's what the Americans do. Hey, they spell it exactly how it sounds, whereas the English language evolved out of Old English and languages before that, and they have borrowed words from French and German and other European languages. The Americans have a newer form of English, and they spell things exactly like they hear it, just like you just said. Okay. We use the British spelling because that's standard English. Okay, that is what the rest of the world uses. We see the American spelling as a spelling error. Now, I gave you some examples of words there in a picture on the right-hand side, which you can go through. The ones they commonly ask for are the words like colour, where the British use an OU and the Americans use only an O. Neighbour, the same thing. Words that end in ER or RE, centimetre, fibre, metre, kilometre, litre, theatre. The Americans spell it exactly as it's said, whereas the British spell it with an RE instead of an ER. Aeroplane is how the British spell plane, and airplane is how the Americans spell it. Catalogue is also a borrowed word. That's why it's spelled, spelling is so complicated. Jewelry, grey. The Americans spell catalogue just as it's pronounced. Hey, there's no UE at the end. Jewelry, grey with an A. Okay, people, so those are just some of the words. There are many other words that follow the same pattern, okay, that you can have a look at, the British versus the American spelling. If you want to go on Pinterest or on Google and type in British versus American spelling, and they will give you lists of words that are spelled differently in America. Then another rule there, I before E except after C. For example, receive, wield, shield, deceive, etc. Okay, so sometimes the E sound that we spell with an I and with an E is difficult to spell. Usually the I will be before the E, like wield and shield and yield and words like that. Whereas after a C, it's spelled EI. Okay, remember it because it rhymes. I before E except after C. There are some other exceptions like neighbor, for example, but that's a different sound. Hey, it's not an E sound, it's an A sound. Okay, will you remember that? So, what we have done so far, words with more than one syllable ending in an L and in only one L. British versus American spelling. If the word looks too short for you, it's probably American spelling. I before E except after C. Then the next one is when to double consonants and when not to. Okay, and they talk here about the CVC pattern. When adding suffixes to one-syllable words, it's helpful to follow the CVC rule. CVC stands for consonant, vowel, consonant. When the last three letters of a one-syllable word follow the CVC pattern, the last consonant should be doubled when adding the ending. Consider the examples below. Dropped or drop becomes dropped or dropping because the last three follow CVC. R is a consonant, O is a vowel, and P is a consonant again. Big becomes bigger or biggest. The consonant doubles because it follows the CVC pattern. Are you with me, people? Do you understand what the CVC pattern stands for? The last three letters, consonant, vowel, consonant. Now the word rest, for example, does not follow that pattern, because the last three letters, E, vowel, S, consonant, T, consonant. So that follows a VCC pattern. So therefore, the last consonant is not doubled. Okay. Doubling consonants in multi-syllable words. When adding suffixes to words with more than one syllable, the issue is not with consonants and vowels, but with which syllable is stressed or emphasized. If the stress is on the first syllable, don't double the consonant. Consider the following examples. The word begin becomes beginning with two N's, not beginning, beginning. Double consonants are used because the emphasis is placed on the second syllable of begin. Okay, what about editing? Why is editing, why doesn't it have two T's? Because the emphasis is placed on the E, edit. Okay, so say the word out loud to yourself in your head and make sure that that you are spelling it correctly. If the last part is emphasized, it usually gets a double consonant. If the first part is emphasized, it usually doesn't. Okay. Are you still with me, guys? Good. Then the tense. People, you know the different tenses. The indefinite tense or the simple tense, the continuous tense, and the perfect tense. Okay, and you know that they are further divided into present, past, and future, which is easy enough. Hey, just make sure that if one verb in the sentence is in the past tense, that the other verb is in the past tense as well. You can't say we sing and ate, we sing and eat, or we sang and ate. Okay, that's all you need to know for editing for tenses. Okay, and you also, they probably won't ask it this way, but they can't say he was eat the grapes. He was eating the grapes. Hey, but that's too easy. They won't ask it like that for you in matric. Then, this is what I want to focus on because there's always some concord in there. Concord means subject-verb agreement. Namely, when there's one person or one thing, the verb has to be singular. When there's more than one person or one thing, the verb has to be double. Okay. It's like when one person walks alone at night. He needs someone to protect him. Who is that someone? It's Superman. Therefore, the singular verb gets an S. Words like is, does, has, was, sees, swims, sings, plays. So these are the singular concord verbs. Is instead of are, does instead of do, has instead of have, was instead of were, and verb plus S. Okay. Eats, plays, sees, swims, dances. When there's more than one person, they can protect each other. Therefore, they don't need Superman. So the words don't get an S. Are instead of is, do instead of does, have instead of has, were instead of was, see instead of sees. Okay, the verb does not get an S at the end. People, we know this. It's easy enough when it's simple to determine whether the subject is singular or plural. But what if we are not sure? What if the subject is more complicated? What if I say the cat eats his food? That's easy enough because the cat is one thing. Hey, but what if I say the cat and the dog? What would the concord then be? Is it singular or plural? What do you think, Dube?
Ma'am, I think it's singular.
The cat and the dog.
Oh, sorry, it's plural.
It's plural, yes, because you are making them two with the word and. Hey, sometimes it's not easy to figure out whether the subject is singular or plural. Here are some rules. When you put and in between, it becomes plural. Susan is, Mike is, but Susan and Mike are. Except when it's one concept, like fish and chips or bacon and eggs, usually with food. Hey. Now, here are two of rhymes that you can remember. Or, either or, not neither nor, not only, but also, not but, nearest. Then you look at the one that is closest to the verb. Okay. Neither the cat nor the dogs. Now you have a singular and a plural in the same sentence. So which one are you going to look at? The one nearest to the verb. Neither the cat nor the dogs are, because dogs is plural and that is nearest to the verb. Okay. With, together with, like, including, as well as, first. Then you look at the one that is first. The dog with the cats. You look at the one that is first, namely the dog. Okay, and it's singular, so it will be is. So you must remember these lines off by heart. Or, either or, neither nor, not only but also not but, nearest, with, together with, like, including, as well as, first. These words refer to the verb. Okay. A number of, are the number of, is. It is because a number of is not specific. Okay. The number of is. We know exactly how much the number is. Numbers, 1,000 is, thousands are. Okay. Distance, 100 kilometers is a far way to walk. Sums 5 plus 3 is 8. People, you can just learn this to check the concord. Okay. Let's edit this text together for the concord. Okay. The Food and Drug Administration yesterday, 2.1, Dube.
The Food and Drug Administration yesterday put a hold in.
Yes, it must stay put. Why? Because
Yeah.
we are actually in the past tense. Hey, if we were in the present tense, the Food and Drug Administration would be one thing, that it would be puts. But because we are in the past tense, it must just stay put. Hey. A general recall on Red Bull energy drink amid evidence that Red Bull 2.2, Layla?
Ma'am, is it have been,
Yes.
had been, yeah.
Has been linked. Okay, to several birth defects. This one must be has been linked. The usual side effects, which, Marley, 2.3?
Occurred. Or is it had occurred?
No, we are in the present tense now. Okay,
Which
the first
occurred.
part in the past tense, but then we are now in the present tense. Okay, so the usual side effects, is that one thing or more than one?
It's plural, ma'am. So it's occurred.
Occur. In as many as 2% of women who drink Red Bull while pregnant were first reported by researchers at the University of California, San Francisco. Who? 2.4, Dube?
We used a study group. Yeah, we used.
Yes, used a study group of over 800 women over a course of 3 years. The researchers' results were published last fall, but the FDA and Red Bull executives, 2.5, Lila?
I don't believe they've been resistant to. Ma'am, is it had?
Yes, had until yesterday been resistant to acknowledge the group's findings. Now the FDA seems to validate the researchers' claims that Red Bull directly contributes to leathery bat-like appendages which grow out from the child's shoulder blades. Red Bull is scrambling to prepare for huge losses and numerous lawsuits. People, this is meant to be funny, hey, a satire, because Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull is disappointed with the FDA's action. Okay, people, now we are in the present tense. Do you see? Red Bull is disappointed with the FDA's action, and Marley 2.6?
Does.
Yes, why?
Because it's only one action.
Yes, okay. Actually, we are looking at Red Bull here. Red Bull is disappointed with the FDA's action and does not think, because Red Bull does not think that such action, 2.7, Dube?
That such action is necessary.
Yes, because such action is one thing, hey, said Red Bull spokesperson Tyler Cowell in a prepared statement. Our company, Lila?
Has acted.
Yes, because it's one company, hey, has acted responsibly and Marley 2.9
Will, ma'am.
will continue to act responsibly. Public outcry over the Red Bull energy drink side effects has or have? Dube?
Have or has been
Has,
understandably.
yes, has, because public outcry is one thing. Red Bull, which has cornered half of the energy drink market in the United States and is large outside of the country as well, has a clientele that is both numerous and heavily caffeinated, said Yale law professor Lorna Bernard. This is a pretty good recipe for a lawsuit storm. The fact that the FDA, Laila?
Ma'am, is it has approved?
Yes, exactly. Has approved the product. Why has? Because it's one thing. Hey, the FDA is one organization. In the first place, will likely also have repercussions, continued Bernard. This, Marley,
Is going to be.
is going to be yes, because this is one thing. This is going to be Dube 2.13.
Blown.
Blown, yes, blown. Blown up huge and take a lot of people down with it. Gavin Tyson, an FDA lawyer, disagrees. There is no basis for a lawsuit because they, 2.14, Marley?
Because there will be no damages. Wait, because there is no basis for
Well, it's
lawsuit.
not technically wrong.
There
Ma'am, is
is
it
no
because
damages.
they are
Okay,
no
damages is
damages?
more than one thing, so it will be there are no damages. Okay. Even if you said there have been no damages, I will also mark it right. So far, the only allegations are that this product, Laila,
Is it has given?
has given won't be wrong. If we are going to do this in the perfect tense, that's fine. Has given or that this product gives children wings. There's no time word. So if you put 2.14 in the perfect tense, then it's fine if you also put 2.15 in the perfect tense. 2.16, has or have you ever? Dube?
Is it have?
Have you ever? Yes, because you fits with have. Have you ever? 2.17, Marley?
Met a child.
Met a child, yes, the tense there is past tense. Met a child who did not want wings. Bernard, however, is not convinced that Tyson's argument will hold up in court. Children, as a rule, want to fly. Flying is the whole point, not the wings. Bernard, as of yet, none of the children who have been born with these wings have succeeded in 2.18, Laila?
Sorry, ma'am. None of the children who have been born with these wings have succeeded in achieving flight.
Yes, perfect. In achieving flight. Until they do, I think Red Bull, Marley, 2.19.
I think Red Bull. I don't know.
Will get is fine. Will get sued, and I think the FDA is going to get sued for Dube 2.20
For approval.
for approval of the product. Does that sound right?
Wait, get sued for the approved.
Approving,
No,
ma'am.
Yes,
approving of the
for
product.
approving the product. Okay, guys, so concord and tense, just check that it fits in with the rest of the sentence. Sometimes there's more than one tense that could be right, but there's always only one concord that could be right. Okay, now here are some of the words that you often misspell. and that you don't always know how to use. Here are some tips for how they are used. Their shows ownership, T-H-E-I-R. That is their toy. It indicates possession. Hey, their, the R looks like it's pointing. Hey, the ball is over there. And there with an apostrophe is short for they are. They are going to the park. If you can replace it with the words they are, then you know it's the last one. Then whose and whose. Whose is short for who is with an apostrophe, and whose is a possessive of who. Whose shoes are these on my floor? Your, it belongs to you, and your is short for you are with an apostrophe. If you can replace it with you are, it's your with an apostrophe. The most common mistake, it's and it's with an apostrophe. It is, i.e. it's raining outside, can be replaced with it is, and it's indicating belonging. Means the dog chases its tail, for example. Okay, the apostrophe, that's the last one that we are going to go through today. If you form plurals using the apostrophe, the grammar cops are going to come and catch you. That is how you remember this. This is the mnemonic. COP, contraction, omission, and possession. That is what we use for plurals. Contraction and omission, to contract means to make smaller, and to omit means to leave out. Okay, so when you take the word cannot, for example, you contract it, you make it smaller into can't, but you also leave out letters, and there where you leave out the letters, that is where you put the apostrophe. Did not, you contract it and you omit the letter. People don't put the apostrophe between the two words, you put it there where the letter was left out. The O was left out. Hey, that's why it's didn't. They are contracted and omitted the A. That is why you put the apostrophe there. Then possessions, the dog's tail, singular, you put the apostrophe and then the S. For plural, when it's already dogs, you just put an apostrophe after the S. Okay. Then plurals, potatoes, not potatoes, photos, not photos, girls, not girls. People, we do not use the apostrophe to form a plural. Okay, never. Don't do that. Even in your essays, don't form plurals with apostrophes. The grammar cops are going to come and catch you. Then I just gave you a little exercise there. Number one, I can't go with you to Colin's house. Obviously, the apostrophe must be between the N and the T in can't. 2, let's go to the Bears game on the weekend. Dube, where would you put the apostrophe there?
Ma'am, I would put it by let's.
Yes, where in let's?
Between the T and the S.
Perfect. Okay, the girls' bathing suits need to be put in the dryer. Several girls, Laila. If there's more than one girl, where would you put the apostrophe?
Ma'am, I would put the apostrophe at the suits. They at the T at the T and S, but yeah, I think so.
Why?
To show possession.
No, but the girls don't belong to the suits. The suits belong to the girls. The girls' bathing suits.
Ma'am, is it but it's several girls, so I don't think there should be an apostrophe.
Okay, when it's several girls, look at the apostrophe rule there for plurals at possession. You put it after the S at girls,
Okay.
because the bathing suits belong to the girls and there are several girls. So after the S at girls, the girls' bathing suit. When you pronounce it, you add that little Z at the end of the S, the girls' bathing suits. Okay. If you put it at between the T and S at suits, then it's going to look like you thought that a plural gets an apostrophe, okay, which it doesn't. You must look at what belongs to whom. Marley, I'm going to head to town to Clark's department store later.
What number is that, ma'am? So, it's number
5.
5. I'm going to head down to Clark's. Well, between the I and the M.
Yes, definitely. Okay, and is that the only apostrophe for this sentence?
No, between the K and the S of Clark's also. I would put
Yes,
one.
because the department store belongs to him. Hey, so that indicates possession. Okay, guys, that is unfortunately all we have time for. But if you just remember not to form plurals with the apostrophe, that will help a lot already. Okay, thank you for a good lesson. I will see you tomorrow.